Hey y'all, it's the Left Chapter editor, Michael Laxer, coming to you from Toronto on July 10th. Look, you remember how just so recently in the last Canadian federal election, capitalist con man Mark Carney cruised his way to victory by pulling this elbows up nationalist nonsense about, how he was going to stand up for Canada, how he was going to stand up to Trump, and how he was the person who was best positioned to do this, which led to a remarkable comeback for the Liberals and led to them defeating against what would have been seen as extremely unlikely odds just a few months before, defeating the Conservatives led by the utterly useless Pierre Poilievre. But at any rate, what a total load of bullshit this elbows up line has proven to be. I mean, con man Carney has been an absolute farce when it comes to standing up to the United States. He has done anything but stand up against the United States, especially when it comes to foreign policy. And in the latest two examples of his complete capitulation to Trump, they are just so disgraceful, it beggars the mind. I mean, the first and the more, you know, the more likely, the more predictable one is that Carney has backed Trump's, new attacks on Iran, the breaking of the ceasefire, the launching of attacks against the Islamic Republic, which have led to basically the end of the ceasefire and to Iranian, completely justified Iranian retaliation for these attacks. And I mean, I think it's worth noting. I mean, what Carney said when he's backing Trump's new disgraceful adventurism was that these were, that the attacks were justifiable. He said that they were appropriate, and that it was understandable that he, doing this because Tehran had been acting irresponsibly. This came as that the United States. The United States is led by, genuinely led by, an egomaniacal psychopath. Frankly, I mean, the guy is what he's going to do one day to the next. It is completely unpredictable because, I don't think he's of sound mind anymore. And on the day that he, sort of launches these attacks on Iran, he says, quote, "To me, I think it's over. I don't want to deal with them any. I don't want to deal with them anymore. They're scum. They're led by sick people." I mean, this is, just the typical outrageous, racist, appalling nonsense that we've grown accustomed to from Trump, and that he gets away with because, I think everybody, either on the one hand, thinks he's a total nut job, or on the other, just wants to go along with the ride because they're fascists. It's utterly shameful that Carney would back the relaunching of hostilities, and but while that one's predictable, the much more shocking and disgusting and appalling moment of Carney cowardice and cowardice on the part of the Canadian government was the fact that the Canadian government actually abstained on the vote to have a debate around the intensified blockade on Cuba at the UN. And this is just shocking. For decades now, Canada has stood up against the utterly illegal, inhumane, and genocidal U.S. blockade of Cuba. Year after year after year, Canada has done the right thing and stood with the vast majority of the international community against this outrageous, ongoing, decades-long attempt to strangle the Cuban Revolution and to punish the Cuban people for their independence and for their stalwart defiance of the United States. And this, of course, punishment, this collective punishment of the Cuban people, has reached an entirely new, disgusting, and appalling level with the complete strangling of the ability of Cuba to get oil. Only one shipment of oil has arrived in Cuba this entire year. It was 700,000 barrels that came from Russia. This was exhausted fairly quickly. Just recently, there was another nationwide blackout for almost 24 hours because Cuba's out of fuel. They are desperately trying to pivot towards solar power with some aid from China and towards finding new ways to be able to use their own crude oil, which is very hard to refine. But there has been some progress on that. But they desperately need international solidarity and oil shipments that simply have not been forthcoming. But while many nations have not been willing to stand up to Trump in the face of threats of tariffs, and while many nations have been only given aid of a material kind. Mexico has done that. China's done that. Russia did send the one shipment of oil, but there hasn't been another one since. Those countries still have stood up in the United Nations against this blockade, and quite vocally against the blockade in some cases. China and Russia have been very vocal in their opposition to this blockade and then in their denunciation of it. Mexico supported the proposal for the additional debate, for a debate on this subject. The United Kingdom voted in favor of the, holding this debate. It's for days before this proposal for a debate at the United Nations. Marco Rubio had instructed U.S. embassies worldwide to pressure governments into blocking the debate that Cuba had requested. And they succeeded in a handful of cases. 9 countries voted against holding the debate altogether. The United States, Argentina, the United States, of course, Argentina, predictably, apartheid Israel, and some other countries, including notably Ukraine, of all people. So you have this kind of Morocco, sadly, Czechia, Costa Rica. They all shamefully back this proposal to block a debate at the United Nations. But 30 countries also abstained. And these included Canada. This included Canada. And Canada, which has stood against the blockade vocally for decades, is now completely, it's utter cowardice and gutlessness on the part of Carney. A gutlessness and cowardice that I think is not supported by the vast majority of Canadians, who are actually, in poll after poll by every indication, completely opposed to American attempts to asphyxiate and collectively punish the Cuban people, who want the ability to travel there and to trade with Cuba. But the Canadian government joined 30 other countries in refusing to vote in favor of this debate. Countries that actually stood up for having the debate included, countries that are perceived as stalwart allies of the United States. Like I said, including the United Kingdom, including France, including Denmark, Belgium, any number of other countries, Switzerland, the vast 136 countries voted that this debate should be held. And of course, the United States didn't want it held because the debate was going to be embarrassing. A blockade is obviously inhumane. It's obviously disgusting. It's obviously a form of collective punishment. It's completely impossible to see it in any other way. If you have any doubt about this, there's a superb speech that was made after the debate was greenlit by 136 countries at the United Nations by Cuba's foreign minister. The entire speech is available on the left chapter, translated from the Spanish, so you can see what he says. But the speech, we put the title on the speech, a line that he has in the speech, where he says Cuba is not a threat, the blockade is. Cuba is the nation that is being threatened. I mean, this is absolutely true. And he starts his speech by saying the government of the United States is carrying out against Cuba a multidimensional, non conventional warfare that has already lasted for almost 7 decades now and has become ever crueler and more ruthless during the last 7 months. Added to this, there is now an energy siege, which is equivalent to a naval blockade, which is an act of war. Cuba's access to fuel supplies, both for commercial and humanitarian purposes, are being hindered by means of direct threats, unilateral coercive actions, and even harassment and intimidation of oil tankers by U.S. military naval assets. I mean, obviously, this is disgusting, shocking, and shameful behavior that has caused a great deal of stress and appalling consequences for the Cuban people. That, as absolutely, as I've already said, a form of collective punishment. It has led to, by all accounts, hundreds, if not thousands, of completely preventable and unnecessary deaths due to shortages at hospitals, due to power outages. It has led to a dramatic increase in Cuba's once almost, astonishingly low infant and, infant death rate. Now, unfortunately, has increased dramatically. I mean, people often have to go many hours every day with no power. It's very difficult for people to keep food. It's very difficult for people to live ordinary or fulfilling lives. It's difficult for people to attend or to hold classes. I mean, the whole thing is just shocking. It's led to a collapse of public transit, of garbage pickups, which helps to spread disease and sickness. I mean, the whole thing is just shocking and vile. And Canada is refusing to vocally stand up to this and actually abstained at the United Nations about holding a debate around this. And they did this because, Man Carney is a total coward. All that elbows up bullshit was just that. It was total bullshit. He is completely and utterly unwilling to stand up to Trump when it counts. He's hoping to placate the fascist leader to the south. He's hoping that if they play ball to some degree, if they fawn and go along with many of the foreign policy initiatives, the disgusting and disgraceful racist foreign policy initiatives, cruel foreign policy initiatives of the United States, that they will be rewarded, with some kind of positive trade deal or some other token sort of things from the White House. I mean, the lackey nature of this, the disgraceful nature of this, it's shocking, and it just shows what a complete puppy and lapdog of the United States imperialists that Canada has been and is and remains, and apparently always will be until we finally bring to power a government that's willing to stand up to U.S. imperialism, willing to do things like leave NATO, which no mainstream political party in Canada, including the supposedly left-wing NDP under Abby Lewis, is willing to advocate. So until we have this, I guess we're going to have to understand that when our leaders and when someone like Carney talks about elbows up and standing up to the United States, it's just a complete, total, utter crock. At any rate, look, love and solidarity. Hopefully we will be able to talk again soon. Solidarity with the Cuban people in this desperate time. Do anything you can, wherever you are, to pressure your government and elected officials to do whatever they can to stand in solidarity with the Cuban people. Pressure them to send the kind of supplies and the oil shipments that Cuba needs so that it can resist this unprecedented attack on its sovereignty and on its revolution and on the Cuban people themselves. At any rate, as I said, love and solidarity, comrades. Hope to talk to you again soon.